All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. This is officially episode 6. I have a file. Yeah,
What happened in 5?
it's there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I think yes.
We're somewhere between 5 and 6.
It's
right?
definitely episode 6 because I have a file with 4 different recordings where we tried to record this episode, but it's freaking 3 o'clock in the morning every single time we go to record this episode.
It's only, well, there's no clock now. It's only 2, and it was never right, ever.
Yep. So
I was right at least once a day.
oh, my clock?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It was an hour behind.
Yeah.
But at least half the year, once a day, it was right.
I guess so.
Anyway, go ahead.
Welcome to the episode. We are still on the 5 love languages. We've had a lot of things happen to us today, so we are happy.
What a day.
We're happy to be back here.
I cannot wait to use this content as content.
I'm going to tell you guys, Lara, I'm going to just be real with them, okay? I know that we've said that 8,000 times.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to go too far into it. Make sure you check your kids' phones. That's all I'm going to say. Do a constant check of your kids' phones as soon as they have one.
I was really resistant for the first 3.5 seconds of you saying that, or 0.35 even. I agree. Like, it's so integrated in the kids' lives. Technology in general is integrated in our lives. We have Essie to wake us up, and we have our phone. Don't say that; she'll know. But we have alarms, technology, most of them, right, to wake us up, and then we have our phones. What's going on? All my emails for work go there. My emails for personal go there.
Yep.
Our text messages, which is how we communicate with everybody. If they're not here, we text with them. If they're here, we text with them. We text with one another. But I always felt like I knew my kids, and I had checked intermittently, but never like weekly.
Yeah.
But you have to stay on top of it.
Yep.
And you have to be making sure that you know what's going on.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff for the Realist channel. I'm saying real a lot because Lara and we played back some of our episodes and we're like, we say real too much. But so
I actually ran into somebody today. You guys are so real.
Today?
And I was like, don't say yes, literally. I forgot to tell you about that. And I was like, did you say that? Did he pay you to say that? A and B, was that spitefully or not?
Thing. So
it wasn't spitefully.
I don't want to say anything about any of the situations that happened today specifically until the kids move out. So I will make that perfectly clear to the audience. Do not get under the impression of, my kids are teenagers. They deserve privacy. We will give them that privacy.
F them kids.
Because they will run with that like a snapping turtle with a lure. Okay, they will snap that thing off and just go with it. And so your kids do not need that type of privacy, specifically social media or text or anything like that. They do not need that kind of privacy in their life because they are not mature. Even if they're 17 going on to 18, they do not have that maturity to understand the risk of what the internet and what phones have to offer. So
I think it's important to your child, whether you have a blended family or not, right? Just in general, your child does not have the wherewithal, because our kids grew up on it. And you kind of grew up on it. I did not grow up on it till I was,
on the internet, you mean?
Yeah.
I didn't really have the internet until I didn't have a computer really in the house until I was 16. And I definitely did not have one in my room or anything, or good internet until I was, 16, 17, 18 years old, until I got off on my own, essentially. So I was really, even though I'm a 90s baby, I was more like growing up in the 80s because I just didn't have those things. I had video games, but I didn't have the internet like other people my age had, where they were on, I don't know if Reddit was a thing, but 4chan and different
MySpace,
AIM. I never had AIM. I did have MySpace, but
Yahoo Messenger.
I didn't have Yahoo Messenger. I didn't know about messaging until MySpace came around, and I was in high school. I was in like right before the boom of Facebook was whenever I had that. It was actually whenever I was starting to date my first girlfriend. Well, no, it was right whenever I got into high school. So, because I had my first girlfriend in middle school, but my first real girlfriend was in high school, and that's whenever I had MySpace, and I changed my MySpace to a beach thing because she was all beachy and stuff. I was definitely not.
So cute.
And I had what's that song where it's like checking my tongue in the mirror? You know what I'm talking about? It's like he has the little fedora on, looking upside down and checking my tongue in the mirror.
Nope.
You don't know that song?
I do, I'm sure.
You do.
But I don't know what you're talking about.
But that was MySpace was much better than Facebook.
Oh my gosh.
We're on a whole side tangent
here. Did you get any of the sparkles? Like,
yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
You hate glitter and I love that.
What about the Mafia thing? You ever played the Mafia game?
No.
Bro, you missed out. They had like, what was it? Not Zootopia, freaking Farmville on there. And I
do remember Farmville.
They had the Mafia thing, and then they had like little avatars that you could have. That was on my jam back in the day.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we had to break up, I was like pure emo scene kid, all that good stuff on there. So that's fun. I like MySpace. Yep.
Anyway, even when I think that there's like, I want to say two sides of the coin, right? But there's really way more than that. What is the die that you have that's like 1, 2, 3, 4?
Side?
No, the pyramid.
Oh, that's 4-sided.
Okay, 4-sided die, right? Okay. So the first die is them kids don't give a F. They're going to go out, they're going to do what they want. They don't care about you. They just want to hunch, right?
Children are essentially narcissists.
Yes. But when it comes to social media, right? They just want to go out there. They want to find somebody. They want to hook up, the Tinder, the Bumble, all the things that come up. I went on, Pinterest, right?
I didn't know you could even message on Pinterest until today.
Anyway, you guys are getting for reals.
Yeah.
So reels and reels.
This is the first time Lara and I have been like alone with no distractions right now.
It's been a wild night.
So this is the first time that we're actually kind of getting to go over some of this stuff.
So you have the kids who go out, and I went onto the App Store, and it was like recommended apps, popular apps, whatever. And the top apps, the first 3 of the 4 were dating apps.
Wow.
I made sure it said download versus like re-download, right? So anyway, there's people out there, whether you want to like it or not, maybe your teen is one of these people that go out there and they're like, I just want to look at titties. They go out there and they try to talk to girls, whether it be their girlfriend or random girls, and they download that stuff. So there's the predator, right? And then there is the prey. And the prey could be somebody who is in a relationship and they want to be loved and they don't understand boundaries and they don't understand that they could easily fall into that. And so they are like the prey 1, and then there's the prey 2 who are like literally dumb. They have no idea. They don't have any ill intention. And then somebody tells them something and they feel threatened and they feel like they have to do it. So they're getting preyed on in like a bullying way. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of that, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last one is the people who are out there who are, I guess they kind of match with prey 1, where they don't mean to convince somebody to do something, but they feel equally in love. And the internet is so inundated with, the whole world is so inundated with sex. Mm-hmm. We're 10 minutes in. I feel like I can say this at that point, or at this point. I'm going to say at hunching, right? At the
what I'll do with that part is I'll just like bleep over your mouth.
Okay,
and then I'll also put like a loving word, like a black mark over your face or something.
Right. So the world is so procreating driven, right? Whether it is not for intentions of procreating, whether it is for just body acceptance, whether it is for whether it's because of peer pressure or whatever. I feel like girls, boys, anything in between that, people just want to do what everybody, the world says to do. And it is so normal to see that. That it's almost like, I remember, I don't even think that like, I think about what you said to the kids. So, naked pics, right? Eggplant pics. I don't know. Any of that kind of stuff. You had to go to CVS. You had to go to Walgreens. You had to go to Walmart.
You had to go get a disposable camera.
Yeah.
Take a picture and then go
maybe
somewhere
quality, maybe not.
Go somewhere that you can get it developed and then like pass it on to
put in another name. I'm sure I didn't never do that, but I didn't think you could. But
hold on, let me tell you about this. So back in the day, whenever I was like in 8th or early 9th grade, I had long hair, right? And I went to the beach one time, and my mom loved taking pictures of us and everything. And I was laying on the beach like this, with my hair all splayed out, and she went and got the pictures developed. And the guy came out and was like, "Ma'am," and I was a chunky kid. He was like, "Ma'am, there were some inappropriate pictures in here that we could."
You imagine?
We cannot. So yeah, I was standing right there. I can imagine.
No, I'm saying I can't imagine, but can you guys imagine?
But he was like, "Yeah, we can't, develop these, and please don't do this again." I
wonder how many wieners they saw in their day.
I don't know.
And how many times they had to say, if you have any exposure to it, drop a comment below.
So if you're an old developer, let us know.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, "Can I see these pictures? What are you talking about?" And went and got the picture, showed it to her, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's my son. He's standing right there." So that was a real kick in the gut.
Was it like belly button up?
It was here. It was just my chest, like up, and hair splayed out. I was just like laying on the beach like this. And my mom like took a overhead shot.
I have to see this picture.
I don't know if she has. I'm sure she does. I remember it, but
that and the sheep, the rodeo sheep.
Over the rodeo, okay? It's not weird to ride a sheep at 5 years old. I want
to see this so bad.
I look like a little Garth Brooks, okay?
I want to see it because I was like, right? But this is weird. Anyway, so
hello,
all
ma'am.
I'm trying to say is we have some wonderful kids.
Not after today, okay?
No, we do have wonderful kids. They need help, right? They need help navigating. And I definitely did not grow up in I felt like I had given them all the tools, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
It's okay.
I just didn't want you to move off that subject.
Go for it.
So, Lara and I, over the years, you and I felt like
all of us.
I'm still like learning. Should I talk to the camera? Talk to the camera?
Both of us. Yeah.
So, Lara and I, over the years, have told the kids there are predators out there. There are other children that will try to pressure you into showing your body. And the second you do that, it is out there forever. You may as well send that all over the world. And, sometimes our kids are stupid and don't listen, and that's part of it. And you got to traverse that, whether it's sending bad messages or photos or whatever the case is, bullying other kids.
This is hard to talk about.
Yep. Well, the main point is what I'm trying to say is just because you have a conversation with your kid doesn't mean they're going to listen to it. And that's why I'm saying
they understand the context.
And that's why I'm saying don't trust your kids whenever it comes to social media or, online, anything online. Just don't trust them.
Parents. So if you want a little toolkit, right, to figure out what your kids, spouse, friends, whatever, whoever you want to check up on, screen time. enable that. Please enable that. If they delete it, they're doing something sus immediately. So you can go on screen time and see where they're spending their time. You can immediately see when they go to bed because the screen time tells you when they're on what app. And then when you go into the app, let's go with the basic iPhone, right? Photos recently deleted. You can go in there. Most kids don't know you have to delete the deleted, right? I'm not, if you're using this as a tool to how to get away with stuff, you're a crappy person and you should step and poop tomorrow. Anyway, then there is messages. Most of the time you can look at deleted messages or blocked messages on any app. You can go in there and see the last time they save a password for an app. So you go into the password setting, like our phones usually, I'm only speaking iPhone. I don't know about Android, but the iPhones will prompt you to save a password. And then when you do that, you can go in there and see when it was last updated. Bjorn immediately. Okay. I didn't know. So you can go into Safari, you can look at the history, you can go all the way back. You can even go into the Explorer settings and look at the like cache pages and it'll tell you what websites they've been to. So I feel like that's super extreme and super like Carmen Sandiego. That was what I was trying to tell you when you were pulling out to Taco Bell. But it is something that in order to know, because kids are resourceful, right? And we don't really know tech the same way they do. They grew up in it. But kids are dumb. They think they know what they're
smart
doing.
at the same time.
Exactly. So anyway, you can go online, you can Google anything, how to find the deleted stuff from XYZ. You can see if they've spent most of their time on an app and the app is gone, probably something sus. So I would suggest a pop quiz, I'm going to look at your stuff and maybe even like trick them. Oh, I'm going to look at your stuff, forget about it for a week and a change, right? A week and 2 days. And they're like, oh, they forgot about it, you know, whatever. And then boom, grab it. But
what she's saying is essentially do random checks. Because if you tell them, like one of our kids, I said, go get your phone. I'm going to do a check. I messed up by saying that. And immediately I'm pretty sure they deleted some apps.
So
and also, check unexpected apps. It's like we were just talking about. I never would have guessed Pinterest. Because to me, a person that doesn't use Pinterest, I'm thinking, oh, that's like room decor or like, you know, if you want to, you know, come up with an aesthetic.
Body decor.
Now I know that.
Or Etsy.
Yeah, that's true. But I was.
Or Temu, definitely Temu.
Yeah, be careful with Temu. But I was like, in my mind, Pinterest is just like aesthetic stuff. And no idea you could message there. And that's where one of our children were mainly messaging.
And it wasn't them doing anything.
Yeah, they were pretty innocent in that. But still, it's just like, who would have thought Pinterest?
Not us.
Yeah, I mean, so everywhere can be a messaging app, I guess.
There's the part of me. Go ahead.
One more thing about apps. If your kid has Snapchat, they are doing inappropriate things. I don't care what anybody says. If there is an app that 5 minutes later the message is deleted, they are doing inappropriate things.
If your spouse is using Snapchat?
Oh yeah, you're in real trouble then.
So, when you first started in this, I was like, oh, you got to delete that. You know,
I've thought that multiple times through this, but I think it's such an important message.
We make that joke about being real. And anybody who knows us knows our kids, right? So it is a sense of putting it out there. And I don't feel like It's really hard because your kids are just trying to figure out their place.
Yep.
And I think that's really what I want to say. And maybe you could put this before or whatever I said, or maybe it's you guys have tuned in and you're like, oh, shoot, let me send this to somebody. You know, I guess my fear is as a parent that somebody's going to judge, right? And somebody's going to assume whatever is going on. But
I can tell you who those people are. Those people are people that aren't like us, where you and I work all the time. And this isn't an excuse. Today was a very extreme learning situation on our part where we work all the time. Then we come home and work on other things. And we are chronically working.
Just trying to survive.
We're just trying to stay afloat. But we are chronically working, and now we understand, oh, shoot, there's a lot of red flags going on today.
And our kids are with us almost all the time. Obviously, like when they start dating somebody, they're doing their own thing. But I would have never assumed, like even the most unassuming child who is with you 24/7. When you go to bed, when I was 14, sorry, Mom. When I was 14, my parents would go to sleep. And I have snuck out the window. For whatever reason, I would smoke cigarettes. And then my brain said, just throw it under the trailer, put it out. And there was like a little mound. And my dad said, I never did that. That's obviously you.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was stupid.
Yeah.
But I definitely, and sometimes it was innocent, right? I went and walked around the neighborhood with my friends. And I remember one time, like, one of our stupid friends busted a water pipe for a trailer park, and
oh, geez,
stupid. I know, and so everybody suffered, and I never thought about that. I mean, I probably just thought about it just now, but we were just, I don't know, we were just being stupid teens. I did not have the same influences, right? But at 14, I definitely was not doing the things that I should do. And I got influenced to do things I shouldn't do. And that was 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So now everything is just so sexually charged. And even when you think your kid is doing the right thing, even if you have a thumb on them, even if you think they're with you all the time, there's no way. When you go to bed, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yeah.
Every time. And it may be just looking at something dumb. It may just be being on the phone late.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put this out there. Again, going back to what I was saying, I wanted to delete this. But at the same time, we came into this saying that we were going to talk about blended families. We're going to talk about parenting. We're going to talk about relationships. This is hard. Being a parent is hard. Talking about what we're talking about right now is hard. Again, our kids are really good kids, all things considered. They're still kids. They're still teens. They're going to be susceptible to peer pressure.
Yep.
And the only way to know, and if you're watching this right now, I'm like so serious, and you have a complete inventory on your child, like children, multiple children. So let's say you have 3+, right? Because one cool hover mom, right? I can be only indulged in whatever that is. Again, when you go to sleep, you don't know. The second kid, all right, you got two, kind of one parent gets one parent gets the other. If you're a single mom, I know that's hard. Single dad, I know that's hard. You should be doing what we're talking about. But once you get past 3, like I had no idea what that would entail. I was a kid having kids, right? Anything 3 and above, there's not enough, unless you have a live-in nanny, there's not enough space. There's not enough education to help you. Even if you have all the warnings, you have the screen time turned on, you have the approval for apps, where there's a will, there's a way. And I didn't want to put this out there, but I think it's important. Like if we're going to commit to talking about us, I think that means talking about parenting, and that means putting out there the hard lessons that we've learned. And it's not a specific thing with any of the kids. It's just knowing, like, it may be an innocent question, like, oh, can you send me a picture? You want a profile picture, right?
Yep.
Everybody, I say profile pictures all the time. Well, if I haven't taken a selfie with you, I might ask you for a picture so I can put it with your name and your contact. But it could be something as simplistic as somebody being assertive, like, hey, can we get on a phone call?
Yeah.
Well, you do not know, you will never know what happens on a phone call.
And the other thing is that maybe you want to educate your kids on. This did not happen to any of our kids, but this was something that we thought about. Our kids, with their friends, with their, boyfriends or girlfriends, they get on FaceTime. That's how they interact with each other. That's like the modern thing, how you hang out with your friends. These kids nowadays aren't getting driver's license. They're getting driver's license, statistically speaking,
way later
and later.
Yep.
So this is how they hang out. So warn your children, and also have them. This is a lesson that we learned today. Again, nothing happened where this was prompted. This was just something that I came up with and thought about. If you're uncomfortable with your child being in a room with the opposite sex or a boyfriend or girlfriend, with the door closed, same rule applies for FaceTime. Any rules that you apply for whenever the boyfriend or girlfriend are over, same rule applies for FaceTime. So the second part of that is, if they're on FaceTime, these other children that are on FaceTime with your child can 100% take a screenshot and then send whatever that is to their friends. And that is such a dangerous thing, because all it is, all it could be is like
Snapchat tells you, oh, somebody took a screenshot.
Yeah. FaceTime doesn't.
Nope.
They should.
Yeah.
It tells you whenever it records you. Whenever.
And that's new
on a phone call. Yeah, that's within the last update. But yeah, I mean, all it takes is, and you see this on Twitch. A female Twitch streamer will get up for 1 second, and people are taking screen grabs and putting it out on Twitter and all this other stuff. And it's like, that same thing can happen to your child, to your 13-year-old child.
I think it would be important for us to link below all the apps, the top apps right now. There's a ton of free phone apps out there where you can text and phone call. Google Meet, Team Meet. There's a few, right? Discord is one of those. Again, you can go in there, you can look at settings, you can request a download of your information for sure. I think this really needs to be, I know we came in this to talk about the 5 love languages and the words of affirmation, but I feel like I'd just rather hone in on this.
Yeah. I came in here and I have full intentions and like started the episode by talking about like wanting to talk about the 5 love languages, but this is so top of mind. And we spent 7+ hours talking about all these different subjects with each child and things like that. And I think what it ultimately boils down to is, obviously it's a lot of different variables, but creating distractions for your children where they're not obsessed with technology.
Where they have to be involved in something for themselves that they can look at. For me, I have things that keep me hung up, right? And the most dopamine I get is when I create something, immediate satisfaction.
Yeah.
I love list. I love a trinket. I love list, whatever. It was a TikTok thing.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
I don't know.
so I love something that I can see immediate gratification, right? And this kind of roll into our next words of affirmation. I love when somebody tells me I'm doing a good job. I'm of approval. I get that. And it doesn't even have to be that you have mom or dad issues, or the fact that you're not literally getting attention 24/7. You may just have that need of approval. It is brutal for the teens out there. Imagine going from elementary school and you're like, haha, hee hee, I'm in the sandbox. Like, maybe you held Billy's hand. I don't know. Or maybe Susie and Billy were, exchanged a little kiss on the playground, but they most of the time don't know the intention behind that. Though I have seen some very interesting TikToks where people were talking about the imaginative play, or I'm trying to think of what it's called. Anyway, where they go in there and they play with the fake house, and they have the fake kitchen and all that, and they're in there acting out what their parents would do.
Mhm.
These kids in general, I feel like, old lady, these children have seen a lot and have been exposed to a lot. The internet is terrifying,
Yep.
and home lives are terrifying.
Yep. I was actually going to talk about that a little bit. Just because your child might not have mommy daddy issues doesn't mean the people around them don't. And those people, it's just like the old saying goes, misery loves company. So if one of the other children's in their little friend group has daddy issues, they're gonna, talk about it, and they're gonna try to get acknowledgement and things like that. And then your kid's gonna feel bad for them. And the only way they know how to take, to help them in their little teenage narcissistic mind is to be like, oh, I can relate. So here's how I can relate. And then they'll start making up stories sometimes. So there's a lot of variables here. There's a lot of variables to whenever it comes to internet safety. And you can watch videos and they'll say, oh, you can just download this app that can show you exactly what's going on and all this different stuff. These kids will figure out a way. They will find a way to get
Where there's
around
a
it.
will,
Yep.
there's a way.
Yep. It's like Jurassic Park.
Okay. Again, the desire to be a perfect parent, to have the perspective that you have it together, to guard your own,
Mhm.
can lead to you just trying to figure it out by yourself,
Mhm.
right? In the things that we were going through today, I phoned a friend. Yeah, I needed a lifeline. I didn't know. I knew what not to do, because you're going to mess up your first kid. They don't come with manuals. I wish they did. I wish they were birthed and part of the umbilical cord had a manual in it. Psh, there you go. But there isn't.
There's
And
enough
you've got
of them
your...
to- so they throw it away. So.
Or some people put in a pill and eat it. I don't know, or take it. Anyway, there is no manual, and every parent thinks differently. Every child thinks differently. We're all just people. Like, realistically, we're all just trying to figure it out. So when you have a kid, you may think that you do all the things right. I've taken him to this lesson, and I've put him in this sport, and I have done XYZ, and I did, we hung out every weekend, and it was the great relationship. And next thing you know, that was going to get dark, but your child could do one thing one time and you lose them.
Yep.
Your child could have a perspective that you can't even understand because your brain doesn't work that way. And then boom, they've done something that they shouldn't do.
The extreme of that is they go to school, they come home, get on social media, and they're in this kind of bad friend group, and they get on social media. You can buy pills off Instagram and off of Snapchat.
They'll deliver them.
I'm pretty sure it's Snapchat that they'll do it on, and your kid can get into that, stumble across somebody that's selling fentanyl instead of pills, and your child will die.
Even if they had the best of intent, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to study for a test, and then all their friends were like, oh, we're on, ADHD medication. We're doing this, we're doing that. And they're like, I want to succeed.
Yeah.
I want to be the best kid I can be. I want to have 4.0. I want to do X. I want to do Y. It doesn't matter what they're trying to do.
Yep.
Accidents are accidents.
Yep.
And once they're 18, that's it. Like,
yep.
18 is such a small amount of time that you have to instill everything as you're learning.
And you young parents out there that have 1-year-old, you're looking at your kid right now and saying, oh no, I have plenty of time. No, you don't. No, you don't. That time, gone. I can remember holding Juliet out in the sun because she was jaundiced, and having to sun her, looking down at her and being like, oh, I have so much time with her. and now she's 13 years old, and in 5 years she'll be gone.
I remember when Dayla, my oldest, who's 20 now, she was 1. Yeah, right about 1. And I looked at her and I was like, I can't fathom her talking.
Yeah.
Like this little thing.
Yeah.
And it was so far out of the realm of my understanding. And then when she was 5, I was like, I can't even imagine her being a teen. And now she's moved out.
Yeah.
You only have one shot.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has an opinion, and you can Google it, you can chat GPT it, you can whatever. There's no right or wrong answer, right? Because everybody's brain is different.
Yep.
Be dialed in.
Yep.
If they're going to have access to the internet freely, I do really think that the parents who are like, they cannot have technology till they're grown, had it right.
Yep.
There's a safety thing, like especially with the blended family. We're going to go to the blended family because we talk about this all the time. Our kids leave, right? They go to the other parent's house.
Not necessarily anymore.
Right. Yeah. But if your child leaves your care for an extended amount of time, you want to be able to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
I want to know, or they're going to school. My God, like they're going to school and worrying about, am I going to get shot today?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, that's such a scary thought. The beginning of this school year, we had multiple,
like 3 or 4.
Yeah. I don't know what we can say on here, but we had multiple situations.
Yeah.
But the other part of this is, if you can, well, I'm talking to the couples at this point. I'll get into the single parents in just a moment.
Right.
But if you can, both parents need to be involved. Period.
Yeah.
With Dayla, I wasn't necessarily involved as much as I should have been, because by the time I was involved in her life, she was the same age as now Lara's youngest. And so I didn't have the opportunity to really grow and connect with her in that kind of way, where I felt like whenever she had a boyfriend, I should be involved and telling her what to do and things like that. I would do it by proxy through you.
Blended families are hard.
Yeah. But now that all of our kids are teenagers, I am more involved with their lives. And a mother and a father, I can't speak on same-sex relationships. I can only speak on our relationship and similar ones like that. A mother and a father have such a different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
A mother wants to mother their child. They want to love. They want to understand their emotional standpoints. They want to care for them and put the band-aids on the boo-boos and things like that. And that is great for for a lot of things. There are other things where the dad is going to look at it, not at mileage may vary. Everybody's different. But a lot of men are analytical, and will look at things from the macro scale, where the mom is looking at it at a micro scale, and we will see things and say, communicate. And that's what this whole channel's about, is communication. Because you and I had the opportunity to have a conversation about this the night before we started, locking down. We were able to get to the same understanding of why it's important to check phones, why it's important to, see who the kids are involved with, who are the parents of these boyfriends and girlfriends and things like that, and understand their dynamics with their spouses and things like that. And so yeah, if you have a husband in your life, or if you have a step parent to your children, have them be involved. But also, if be wary if it's a step parent, because as a stepfather, it is a harder role. You can also say the same thing about being a stepmom. It's a harder role than it is to be a biological parent, because you are kind of in this weird predicament of, oh, well, I can't get on to this child.
Something about growing up, like raising them yourself. Like
Yeah.
they are of your loins, right?
Yeah.
You know that if they are messed up, it's half your fault, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You from birth, you know their coups and you know their personalities. And like when they just start to talk and you know who they said mama and dada to.
Yeah.
And you know what they preferred and you know that what they were exposed to.
Yeah.
Right. You know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not involved, sometimes that happens, and maybe you're involved later in life, there is going to be a component like you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, every family is different, right? So maybe you have been the dad who there's the picture perfect. You know, I keep thinking about the soccer picture where it's like the player in the middle and there's like stepdad and mom and then stepmom and dad and everybody's like, ooh, kid. You know, that's the best situation. And you would want that, right?
Yeah.
But there is still, as a step parent, you have not had the same opportunity to bond with that child.
Yeah.
And then there's your own children. And I think you grow up in this like I know for fact in my mind, I thought that I did the best I could, right? And I did.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't know what they were exposed to. You didn't really understand, right? And even now, like even we have been together 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
7 years. You really don't get it.
Yeah.
Any more than I get it. Like I can imagine what you're saying. I can try to be empathetic or sympathetic, but there is a reality to the fact that I didn't live in that. And your nature does impact who you are.
Yep.
The nurture part too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So especially the nurture though. So you get into this relationship and there have been so many times in our relationship where early on, because of what happened in my past relationship, all I thought about was their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
All I thought about was like, gosh, they went through so much.
Yep.
Like a blended family is hard. Like mom, dad, oh, she had me. I came out of there. Everybody's happy family. And then boom, gone. There's degrees of that, right? We got together and I just felt so guilty for them having to experience a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. Whatever happened at home was just at home, right? I didn't know what it was like to have another person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I moved quick.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they went from mom and dad to mom, whatever that situation is, or dad, whatever that situation is, and boom, another person.
Yeah.
And I think for me as a mom, and I'm not saying that every mom is that way or the way I'm about to explain, but we women tend to care about their feelings, care about who they are as a person and care about that like emotional side.
Yep.
And I was so afraid of damaging them emotionally. Of them feeling exposed, of me feeling exposed, of you being so logical that you couldn't grasp the reality of emotional stuff. Like I would try to tell you, I know that they're wrong, but I can understand why they're wrong, right? That I, in the very beginning, hid stuff from you. And it wasn't like intentional, but I didn't want to tell you about things. I felt like I had it. I got it under control, right? Now I understand what's going on. I'm going to try to explain it away to a teenager.
Oh.
Stupid, right? They don't get it. They haven't had life experience. So with our first kid, again, our first child is amazing. She's doing a great job. I'm so proud of her. But you really do mess your first kid up because you don't know what to do. And so with every child beyond that, I was really afraid to let you in as a blended family.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want you to come in with all your logic and all your mansplaining, right? And, oh, well, this is black and white. logic said, this is wrong, this is right, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. And I didn't want to tell you what was going on. But today, because you and I have worked on our communication, I was able to come in there and say, listen, I literally don't know what to do. And I remember sitting in the moment with one of our kids, and they were just struggling, right? With whatever happened with the social media aspect or their own like battle as a teen. I remember being a teen and be like, I just don't know what to do. And thinking, I, as a parent, have no idea what to do from here.
Yep.
I've never been here.
Yep. Neither of us have.
I literally, I don't want you as a step parent, as a parent, whatever, to come in there and make them feel like crap.
Yeah.
Because as a teen who is really messed up, when somebody made me feel that way, it just drove me further into the hole.
Yeah.
Like,
and that is the fine balance of having a kid. And you can attest to this, where it's like, if they have too much freedom, they're going to run with it. But if their parents are too strict, they're still going to run with it.
What is the answer?
There's some
60-40, 50-50. What's 50-50 look like? I don't know.
There. So I want to circle back around to single mothers, but I do first want to touch on fathers first, not single fathers, but fathers in general. Number one, if you're a father, if you are planning to become a father, or you are a father, pick who you're going to be with wisely, because unfortunately in a lot of states, you're not going to have the same rights as the mother. Your daughter or your son is probably going to be raised up by somebody else. And some people choose that. So there's a lot of men out there that choose that. You know, I'm raising, all my kids are my kids, but I'm raising another person's children because of their own reasons. I'm proud to be that person.
I mean, the state favors the mom.
Yeah.
Right. In Florida.
Yeah, specifically, really bad in Florida. So, I got lucky with Juliet and that whole situation, but where I'm going with that is, you don't know who is going to be raising your child, and if whenever you get a divorce, your ex-wife goes down off the deep end, they could get with some terrible person that does some terrible things. And
or maybe she doesn't, and she doesn't know, right?
Yeah. I mean, that happens so often. Watch Soft White Underbelly. Watch We Are Insane. And you're going to hear a lot of stories of stepfathers taking advantage of their children. I don't know how somebody can do that. I really don't. I don't really want to get on that subject because it really bothers me. But for the father that is in their children's life and you're happily married, don't just be the father that says, whenever the crap hits fan, let me know and I'll take care of it. Be there every step of the way. Be there every step of the way.
When you say yes to a wife, when you choose to engage with a spouse, a mother, right? Or father, really, you are choosing to adopt that whole situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about bio family.
Right.
It's a not divorced family situation.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is, if you're that father that's, there's that TikTok that, or the TikTok trend where the son's like going against the mom and raising his voice at the mom, and the dad comes in there at that minute. He should have been there in that conversation. He should have been there. Yeah, there's sometimes with the girls where that is your responsibility, just like with Aaron. There's certain things that is my responsibility. But if there's some kind of debate, some kind of situation going on, you should be there. Even if you just have to say, I'm nosy and I want to be in this conversation. That's how I am, and that's how I was before, at least. Now I'm there as a referee.
It was a fear for me for a long time. And sorry, I don't want to take away from what you were saying.
So it is your responsibility as a man of a family. And if this is a double, like a same-sex marriage, there needs to be one person that's dominant. There needs to be one person that is pulling up the britches and being that role that I'm talking about here. So, and that part I don't
Your emotion is not healthy.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I don't understand that aspect because I'm not there. Um, and I'm sure that comes with its own challenges, and I just want to say that real quick. But the dad or the fatherly role or the masculine role in that dynamic as far as raising children is so important. So is a mother's role. I don't want to downplay that, but the father's role specifically right now, what I'm talking about, is so important because even if you're just listening to the interaction between the mother and the child, you can give that third perspective as a calm, rational decision in this moment. I got off a little subject, but what I'm getting at is that masculine role, your job, and I don't want to sound like a trad husband, but your job is to be the caretaker of your family. That doesn't mean and having these responsibilities does not mean you are a dictator in your household. It is your job to look at the whole situation and say wearing hoochie mama clothes is not appropriate in this household. And you have to dictate that. And your wife or spouse is supposed to have a conversation with you, come to some kind of agreement on what does that look like. But you are the one as the masculine role to enforce that and look at your child before they leave and say, "Oh, you're not wearing pajamas. You're not wearing pajamas out. That is not good. That is not a good look, and I don't want you going out representing me in pajamas." Simple things like that. But those things add up. And what will happen if you stick to your guns as that masculine role and and are looking for the best interest of your family and not taking advantage of that? What will happen is you will get pushback. You will get a hell of a lot of pushback. But eventually, everybody will start seeing, oh, he's not just being this way to be mean, or she is not just trying to be mean or controlling or anything like that. There'll be certain moments where there's been times with one of our girls that she has gone back and looked at um the clothes that she wore whenever you and I first met. And she's like, I wore that. I was like, that's the stuff that I said you weren't allowed to wear. And I got pushback from other parties, including somebody that I'm related to. And I kind of gave in. I didn't listen to my gut and I gave in. And that's what you were wearing. Can you believe that? And she's like, no, I can't believe that. So that's why it's important to be that masculine role, to take charge of your family in a respectful, it's a really hard job to be a father or masculine figure in your house because you are not looking at yourself and saying, well, what's going to make things easier for me? You're looking at the situation and saying, how can I put myself in harm's way to prevent other people getting hurt? That is the responsibility of a father. That is the responsibility of a masculine figure in the household. Not just to be a dictator and say, "Mom, you go take care of everything. And whenever crap hits the fan, you let me know, and I'll come and clean up the mess." Don't be that person. And then to move on to single moms, I can talk on this because my mom did a great job raising me and my brother. Was she perfect? Not by any means, and she'll tell you that. She will confess more to me of her flaws than I even noticed. But she, as a single mom, or as a mom who doesn't want to relinquish, control to a stepdad, which I get that too. My mom did that too, and I get it. You don't want to put pressure on a stepfather. You don't want to. I mean, the statistic. Yeah, I was going to say the statistics of a stepfather abusing the stepchild is extremely high. So it's scary. I mean, that's a terrifying thing. You know, I won't get into our personal stuff as far as that goes. As far as my fears whenever anyway. Um, but if you are that single mom, it is your responsibility then to do all the things that I just talked about as far as being a good father, but you also have to be a good mother. You have to be both roles. My mom, so many times, me and my brother got her stuff for Father's Day because she was the mother and father. She played both roles perfectly in my mind. She played the emotional standpoint where I came to her and I said, Mom, you know, this is what's going on with me and I'm really hurting right now. And she would not coddle me, but she would comfort me is a better word. And then there's the other side of that where I had to man up and she had to teach me how to do that. She had to teach me how to go outside and do yard work. She had to teach me how to not always think emotionally. She had to teach me all these things. And it's the responsibility of the mom to step up and do those things. So it's really hard. It's hard to be that type of parent. I can't imagine being that single parent. I kind of did that pseudo in a way for a time, but I couldn't imagine doing that all the way up until the children were teenagers. And I can't tell if you're about to cry or yawn.
It was a cry, then a yawn.
But I couldn't personally imagine that.
The anxiety breath.
Oh, but I couldn't personally imagine being a single mother or a strictly single father and what you're dealing with in that moment. But just seeing what my mom did in my life and how she stood up and, you know, she had help from my nanny and papa, but how she got up in that role of being a father and mother is so powerful. And that's what, if you decide to be with somebody that's not good and you decide not to use protection and you decide not to use contraception, then that's what you're putting yourself into. If you're, you know, with somebody who's not secure and stable and, you know, in and out of prison and you decide to have a baby with them or not use contraception, you are choosing to be in a single mother role. That is hard to hear, but that's what my mom did. She actively chose to have me with a convict. And you know, she did a great job. It was a very long uphill battle, but she made it out with two good boys. And that's all because of her and my nanny and papa.
I think that some moms are not, I don't think everybody's built the same way, right? And I'm not saying that you're not right. Like everything you said is so true. Like you have to be thoughtful and we try to tell the kids that like whoever you choose to lay with and be with could potentially be a mother or father, right? And everything that they come with is going to be part of your kid's life.
Yep.
And so you know, whether you leave, whether the other person leaves, it doesn't matter. But you know, your mom luckily had both parents in her life.
Yep.
But what if she didn't?
Yep.
You know, and in that blended family aspect, there's a part that I really don't. It's hard to say this because when I think about your flesh and blood. To me, she's mine. I forget. There's so many times I forget I didn't carry her in my womb.
Yep.
But there is that, like you birthed this child, you know, from the get-go, everything they've been through, again, with blended families, like you stepped in later and it doesn't matter how well you know them and you know them to a T and probably better than themselves, right? You realize you can recognize things like that third party perspective. But there is a protective thing because you haven't been through what we've been through.
Yeah.
You only hear the stories. You really don't know what we've been through. And there can be a fear that you want to, like you do want to protect your kids from danger, right? But sometimes I don't think it's really just mom or dad, but like you want to protect them from the other person and their own perspective coming in there and messing the thing up, right?
Mhm.
So, maybe you're not as emotional, and there's a situation that to me is very emotional going on. And if I bring it to you, then you're going to judge, and I don't want to deal with any of that crap, and they don't want to deal with any of that crap. So I just don't talk to you about it.
Mhm.
And we've done that. There have been times in the very beginning, not knowingly, but like not consciously, but subconsciously, I didn't want to bring things up to you because it was like, oh, I got it under control. I didn't want to stress you out. I didn't want to bring you any more stress than it was to deal with extra 3 kids, right? But even one kid, right? But even if you chose one kid, or even if you chose no kids, like I didn't want to bring extra stress to you.
Yeah. Ultimately, you not bringing it up to me causes more stress.
Oh, for sure.
Because, and obviously you've learned that now, but I'm more or less telling the audience this: if you're not communicating with your spouse, and they'll tell you if they don't want to deal with it. There's a lot of step parents out there that will tell you, "Oh, I don't want to deal with it." But if you have somebody who is like me and you, who are willing to put in the work and be that other parent, another dad, or another mom, and you're actively working on that. Your eyes look really nice with the lights on it like that. But
Thank you.
Anyway, I get flustered. Anyway, um if you're willing to be that person, like I was saying, like how you and I are, um make sure you're communicating with your spouse. So with you and I, like you said you didn't want to put extra pressure on me, but what ends up happening is you don't tell me, months go by, and then something comes up, and now I'm saying, "Oh no, you're not allowed to do that thing," and then they're like, "Well, mom said I could." Well, now I'm having to now confront you about this subject. Why didn't you tell me about this months ago?
Either way, crap hits the fan.
Yeah,
Right. What is it? Be sure your sins will find you out. What happens in the dark comes out in the light. There's parables everywhere, right? So what I think the boiled down version is whatever you are living in, you're going to have a response to that. You're going to act in the way that you've been able to act in, right? So from the primal, like we go out, hunt, gather, these people are, if somebody comes around, they're like, oh, I'm a predator. Like I have to be worried about that. And so they're on defense. And then there are people who are like, oh, like love, peace and chicken grease, right? That everybody love everybody. And they're probably more apt to end up in a very, I don't know, vulnerable situation. Or maybe it's I got this, I don't need somebody. And then somebody comes into your life and you do need somebody, or you do want somebody, but you're trying to protect the kids. And like, these are mine, I'm going to deal with that. And you're not. And then you're stripping the other person of the opportunity to be an actual parent.
yeah,
And again, blended families are freaking hard.
yeah.
And it really takes a parent, male or female, and another parent, male or female, with 2 opposing logic and emotion to come together and say, we want to do this. And it is trust in someone else. And there have been times I thought you were being exceptionally ridiculous. Like, yeah, like you would say something and it would be a trigger response, and like, they're on restriction for 2 weeks, like Beauty and the Beast, right? You were the beast, lock her away. And I was like, no, like there's a feeling to that. And you're not understanding like what they've been through. You don't know, you weren't there. And I want to protect them, and I want to keep them safe from that, from the very thing that I felt like harmed them to begin with, whether it was reality or not. And then it could be as simple as, oh, well, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was ever the embarrassed part for me, but the fact that I felt like you didn't understand. But I really have felt the 5 love languages back full circle, right? When you have you as a couple in check, it is so much easier to be a parent. Oh my gosh. Like I could not fathom I could not fathom going through. I'm not going to cry.
Come on, let it out. That's
no.
good views. I'm just kidding.
I could not fathom going through parenting 3 teens if we had not got us right.
Yeah, just knowing where we're at, and then also knowing where your ex was at. I literally could. First of all, let me backtrack a little bit. If I literally, it's almost like a nightmare to think where my children now would be at if you and I wouldn't have met. Not because of you, but because of the person that you're with and his thought processes on things. Then the other side of me is, what if I was like my stepdad, who I do see as a dad? He's since passed away, but I do see him as a dad, and I love him. But did he do the things that he did? He wasn't doing what I'm doing, where I'm an active part of the kid's life. He did what he could, but he and I were so different that, like, I liked anime, I liked Pokemon, I liked all these things. He liked hunting. Totally different sides of the spectrum here. So imagining where the kids would be, where our household would be, if I was like, no, those are your kids, go deal with it. I'm not buying you things for Mother's Day because you're not my kid's mom. I'm not gonna go to kids' functions because those aren't my kids. Granted, Brian never did any of that. I'm just saying there are people out there like that. I couldn't imagine that. And if you are like that, I want to touch on this real quick. If you are like that, you are missing out on some excellent experiences. Good, bad, and ugly. You are missing out. Whenever Dayla graduated high school, I felt so proud. Whenever Lyric graduated from 8th grade to 9th grade, or from middle school to high school, I felt so proud. Like I was choking up because I was so proud to see her go across that stage. So if you're not doing that, if you're not an active part in your I think I just swallowed a fly. If you're not an active part in your stepchildren's life, you are doing yourself a great disservice. Even in all of this stuff going on today, the moments that we had with Lyric, where I was just holding her, was such a profound thing. Like I was having to hold it together because she wanted me to hold her and comfort her in those moments because she sees me as daddy and I see her as my girl. I'm trying not to cry, but so if you're not being that kind of stepdad or stepmom, you are missing out, man. You are missing out on a beautiful moment in your life that you'll never get back.
It is the innocence of a child choosing you.
Yeah. And the reason why, just some backstory with me and Lyric, the reason why it's so special with her in particular, I love Dayla and I love Aaron, but with her in particular, why I get so choked up thinking about her is because whenever we first met, she loved me. I was a cool, like, younger guy that like did cool things.
You jumped the fence to go to the playground.
Yeah, I was like the cool, like, I'm your stepdad, bruh, you know, kind of guy. And then
go get Happy Meals and go play at the park.
Yeah, and then things started unraveling where
life.
Yes, yeah.
Life outside influences.
That's a good way to say it. Outside influences were going on that influenced the way that she thought about me and thought about you, but in this case specifically me. And her and Aaron and kind of Dayla was already living with us at the time, but her and Aaron both were very much they hated me. They absolutely hated me, and it took a long time for. And whenever I say me and Lear, like Aaron would come in and just not talk to me, or he would just lie to me constantly. So it's kind of like, all right, whatever, I can ignore that. She was hateful towards me, and she would practically attack me or say things outside of our family that weren't true about me and different things like that. But whenever she finally realized that I'm not here to hurt her, I'm not here to take anybody's place, I'm just here to love her, and that clicked for her, it was like a night and day difference. And now, I wanted to touch on this earlier. Now it's kind of ironic that she comes to me or asked to come to me to have these conversations, these emotional
My
conversations.
mom's crazy. Help me.
Yeah, like I'll be the referee or whatever, or like I can get a
She
better,
trusts you.
yeah, and I can get a better understanding because she and I do think a lot alike. She's very analytical and emotional, but she's extremely analytical and very, very smart and mature for her age. So she struggles with things that normal teenagers struggle with, and I get those things, and I understand what she's going through, or I can talk to her in a way where it's not super long-winded, but it's still getting the points across. And then even though she interrupts, I still let her get through get what she needs out. And it's just because we built this dynamic together. And like I said, I'm telling you, with this situation, and there's things with Dayla and with Aaron, like me going up there and doing things for Dayla that touch the same kind of heartstrings. But with this dynamic, it's like seeing her totally transform into this new person is just so heartwarming. And if you aren't taking those opportunities in life as a step parent, you are missing out. If you're not taking those opportunities as a parent, because you're going to go through times, you expressed this about Dayla, where whenever Dayla was, younger, y'all hated each other.
I wanted to fist fight her so bad.
And you get these same kind of opportunities where now you're seeing your baby grow up and you're getting to experience life with her and see these meaningful moments. So if you're not that kind of parent where you're not willing to tough it out through the hard times and you're just like, well, mom can take care of it, dad can take care of it, whatever, I'll just, I'm not the favorite anyway, I'll just let them take care of it and I'll just stand on the back burner, you're missing out. You're missing out on an opportunity to learn your child, be able to change yourself, and hope that they'll change, because you can't change them, but you can hope that they'll change.
What a challenge, though.
See your perspective. Yeah, it's hard.
Like,
Being a
that
parent
is
hard.
being a parent in general is hard, but to take a child from another environment,
Yeah.
like is somebody that you did not get to influence,
Mhm.
And it is being vulnerable. It is saying that I had literally no opportunity to instill my values
Mhm.
and my rules, my personality. Like, I'm taking the blood of someone else
Mhm.
and making it my own.
Yep.
And again, like you said, lots of people don't do that. Lots of people have that division, or I'm not here for y'all. I'm here for your wife or your mom, right? And then some moms are like, no, you're not going to come into this,
Yep.
right? And I felt, even though I loved you, I felt the need to keep that separation because I didn't want to drag you into it.
Yep.
Because I wanted to protect them in my mind, and I don't even know what I was protecting them. Like the lack of attention to emotional, because you were so logical. From a mother perspective, like, I don't know, I feel like it's easier for girls to get along with girls. Like, we have this, like, you got boobs, I got boobs. We know the pain, right?
Yeah.
Or especially when you have a relationship that you feel like is just, oh, I'm here to love you. I'm here to mother you. Like, I do all the things. I check all the boxes. Here's breakfast. Here's all the clothes. Let me do your hair. Let me pull your teeth. Let me just saying, I happen to be there for every tooth pull moment, right? But I'm here for all those moments, and you think it's a natural thing, and then you have to go through like whatever a child from a separated home, right, goes through. the same thing can be said too for a mother.
Yep.
There was
the reverse.
Exactly.
Where Juliet she's loved you this whole time, but then she became that average, moody teenage girl. And like you said, she saw this cool redhead woman come into her life and is like, she's cool. She lets me put on high heels sometimes. She does my hair for me in these funky ways.
Hour and a half watching you walk me through a whole scenario of Littlest Pet Shop and Barbies from start to finish and recorded all of it.
And then that continued all the way up until probably 11, 12, and then it's like all right, Juliet, you're giving her responsibilities. All right, Juliet, you need to go do your laundry. And then
I hate you.
Then there was times where you're like, oh, she doesn't even like me. She doesn't even want to be around me. And now she sees you as that motherly figure in her life right now.
It's hard. Parenting your own kids is hard. Like, I made these kids, and back to our eldest, like, I wanted to hit her. Like, I wanted to fist fight the bad things in me. And we have gotten into, like, she was mouthing off in the back, and I was like, shut your mouth. And then she was swinging back, and it literally was like this slap box. I love that term. We were slap boxing while I was driving, like, shut up, and I did the same thing with my parents. I rebelled against that. I think you are definitely a one-off.
To a degree.
They don't make, I mean, you did choose to have
a child. I was good until I chose to get somebody pregnant. And then that was like the ultimate rebellious where she's like, all right, you're out of here.
A really good dad. Like, you may have made a really shitty choice, but you did a really good job, right? So, like, all right, I'm gonna go get a tattoo. It is a really great tattoo. Like, it's hard to relate to you sometimes because I, with all my hangups, made all the wrong choices.
Well,
and I thought I was doing my best, and then I come into this relationship, and it's really hard to trust somebody. It's really hard to trust. I was already having trust issues, and then trust issues with my kids. And in my mind, I'd already been like confused on what was right and wrong, and was I being too strict, was I not? And then I had my own parent issues, and I think, again, like, just going back to what this whole podcast is about, like the 5 love languages, communication, blended families, regular families, we are just people. In general, your kids are people, your ex-spouses people, everybody is a person with their own story, trying to figure out what the heck to do. And you doing what you think is best may not actually be best. And you doing nothing is not going to help at all. So how do you figure out where you're at? Every family raises kids differently, right? I have seen families who they had the picture perfect life growing up, and I was like, man, I really wish I could get it together like them. Like, they've done everything right, and then boom, they're hit with something that is totally left field, nothing you would have ever expected, right? And they thought they were doing it right, and you envied them. You're gonna get what you're gonna get. Right.
It's like
2 people come together. Exactly. It's like a blind bag, right? Oh, look, it's the golden one. Does that mean great? Everybody loves the golden one. Does that mean it's great? I mean, it might be a really ugly action figure. Who knows? And if it's metal, like, oh my gosh, it's super weighty, it'd fall over, whatever. I don't know. I just coming up with you said plastic. But I think that ultimately, whether you and your spouse, your spouse and your kids, your spouse and your kids, you and your kids, communicating and understanding one another is going to take you way further. And being dialed in, being dialed into your kids, know what the heck they're doing, know what the heck is going on, and your spouse too. Like, if you're not dialed in with your spouse, I'm telling you for fact, If you're not having conversations that are hard, that are difficult, that are attentive, that you're not listening to what they're saying and working on things, and you're not talking to them about what you're feeling and then working on things, it's not going to work. Yep. You can all day long go in there and be ready to listen and then do all the things that they say. And if they're not doing it, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It really doesn't. Like if your spouse is not in it to win it, you can lead by example. Maybe they'll come along, but the real magic happens when both of you are doing the work.
Yep.
And the real magic happens for both of you as parents when you're doing the work, and then it translates to your kids.
Yep. And then with your kids, I constantly say, no matter what their age is, get down to their level. So as teenagers, if they're playing video games, I saw us move at the same time. If they're teenagers, play some video games with them. Even if you don't like it. One, it gives you the opportunity, if they're playing Fortnite, to kind of listen in to what their friends are saying.
Or to troll other teens.
Oh, that too. That is pretty fun. But, you do get the opportunity to hear what's going on a little bit in their world. But you're not going in there as a spy. You're going in there to genuinely take interest in what they are interested in, because if you're not taking interest or going in there and having, my main thing is like, sometimes I'll go in there and get into whole long emotional conversations, and in the back of my head I'll just be like, this is such a waste of time. I could be doing something else right now, but I know it's not. I know logically it's not a waste of time, because one, I'm getting to know them. Two, they know that I'm going to listen to them whenever things are hard, because I'm listening to their little high school drama. Not just listening, I ask them about it. I say, so what's going on?
Give me that tea.
Yeah, what's going on with Stephanie? And they'll go on and on about it. And I'm like,
I love that we faked that kid's name, but we put all of our kids' names out there.
I couldn't think of any of our friends' names.
That's okay.
But
I'm dialed in, but I'm just kidding. Well, you got the last part right.
I also didn't want to put anybody out there like Lyric's friends or anything like that either.
They were not legally responsible for.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'll actively ask, like, how's this person doing or whatever. And I've got some really big information from that too. Like, these kids are struggling really bad at home. And that gives us an opportunity. If
all of your kids are messed up.
Yeah.
That is fact.
Yeah.
Like, I have not in any of the, I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, okay. Like, I thought that all of our kids had solid friends. And even if they're kids, like, I feel like we are in some sense, and it's not with every kid, but we're like a cool house, a cool comfort zone. And like, you hear about the drama and you're like, oh, that sucks. Our kids are having their own drama. Everybody, all the kids, all of them have something.
Yep.
And if your kid doesn't have something, you're not looking hard enough.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. But yeah, just get down on your kid's level, whatever that looks like. If that's them showing you TikToks, if that's them making poopy farty jokes, if that's whatever it is, singing in the living room with them, wrestling with them, get down on their level at whatever age they're at, and take interest in what they're doing, because your relationship will build a lot more and a lot faster, and it will be a lot stronger. But I'm just kind of thinking right now, I think we've kind of covered everything that we didn't mean to cover. So
another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's important though.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we go off on a rabbit hole, it's not just to, have filler episodes, because honestly, I want to get the 5 love languages done, because I'm excited to go. I'm excited about the 5 love languages.
You're more excited though now because of this.
It's not that I'm more excited. I'm excited for this, but I just feel like because this hasn't been a consistent thing, like you and I, this is not something that the audience has seen, but you and I have been looking at the 5 love languages for 5 months now. Like, this these notes are the exact.
You've been looking at these notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. These are the exact notes that I wrote almost 5 months ago. So I am ready to get through this, get this information out there, start helping people with this information, and then work on the next book. Because again,
that's what I was saying. That book.
I'm not super excited about it. I think it's important for teens, and it does go into this conversation. It's if you saw it on our Instagram and stuff, it's about video game addiction and how to overcome that. But the way that we're going to cover it is more of a technology addiction, because everybody's addicted to technology right now. We're addicted to it. The kids are addicted to it, and it really goes into how to solve that as a team and not just like, okay, y'all are grounded from whatever. But anyway, but again, this isn't just a filler episode to have a filler episode. This isn't an anime or Dragon Ball Z or anything. This is, whenever we have filler episodes, they are probably more important than anything else that we're covering. This was extremely important. I didn't want to talk about it. You didn't want to talk about it, but
I still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't want to post this, but it's necessary. It is 100% necessary to get this message out there to parents who have teens or even young children. There's children. I don't want to say where my mom works, but there has been
all of your kids are messed up.
Here's a story that happened in our town. A kid stabbed another kid because
that's true facts.
Yeah, they broke up with there was a breakup or something.
Can you imagine being a kid?
And whenever I say kid, I mean they were in grade school.
But can you imagine being a kid right now?
Grade. No, I would hate it.
Oh my gosh,
I hated school already. Much less being in this crazy freaking world that they're living in, and it doesn't help that
shaking your get off my lawn. You feel like the grandpa, but it is definitely uncharted territory.
And it really doesn't help that in our community we had the 3 different types of schools. We had the grade school, the middle school, and the high school. But now we have
middle, high, right?
Well, that's how it was before. But now we have elementary with 6th grade. And then we have from 7th all the way up to high school, all the way up to 12th grade. So that grade specifically, it's like putting mice
Chum in the water.
Yeah, putting mice in a cat cage.
Chum in the water, mice in a cat cage. Mice in the water, chum in the cat cage. I mean, even if you didn't though, I already felt inadequate as a teen with MTV, right? All of them were super skinny, whatever. And I felt like, oh, I could never measure up. And I had to watch the pain come up 1 pixel at a time, right? Where these kids are over inundated. It is hard to be a freaking human.
Yeah.
And if everybody could walk away with the concept of if it is you and usins, right? Be dialed in.
Yeah.
If it is you and your spouse, be dialed in. If it is you and the world, be dialed in. Because if you, and I'm not saying get caught up in the news and get caught up in the the what ifs and the fear mongering and whatever. I'm just saying that you need to know what's happening. You need to know what's happening in your home, your marriage, and life.
And you need to know what the slang words are.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not even playing.
No, I was just thinking about how many times I go on TikTok and I do study that just to make the kids cringe, but it is important to know because there are things that they say where I'm like, why would you say that? You know?
What was that documentary? The Social Effect or something like that, where it's talking about social media and the effects that it has.
That's right.
Yeah. Watch that.
We'll leave a link below.
Yeah. If y'all watch anything,
or the name below.
Yeah, that's true. If you have kids that aren't on social media yet, and you're thinking about letting them have it,
no, don't do it.
Don't.
Oh, they're gonna do what they want to do.
Yep.
If they have a phone, I really do. For safety, flip phone. I know that all their friends have phones and all the people around them have phones, and it's cool to send memes and it's cool to like track where they're at and whatever. Give them a flip phone. Wait till they are like 17 or working a job. Like even
Let him buy it himself.
God.
Yep. I mean, that was the biggest discussion you and I had for a while there was Snapchat. All the kids in the schools communicate with Snapchat, and you were like, oh, well, all their friends are on it, all their friends are on it, all their friends are on it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not their friends' parents. And finally you were like, no, you're right. It is why would it delete a message after X amount of minutes if it wasn't to hide something? So just word to the wise, stick to your guns. You know what I mean? Like if you think something is a social norm but you don't agree with it, stick to your guns. Because society isn't normal nowadays. And that's just the truth of the matter.
I mean, we existed for however many thousands of years without all this.
Yep. Now here we are sitting here recording and on our phones and getting it out there for everybody. But
with 1, 2, 3, 4 electronics.
Yeah.
5, maybe even.
Gonna add another one soon. Third perspective camera. But
got to use the tools of the devil to get in there and give the message of the good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have reservation about being this open. But if I have questions, and when we were going through that, I was like, well, who do I talk to?
Mhm.
Right?
Well, everybody's too embarrassed to talk about stuff like this. Like you see people who don't have kids talking about subjects like this, but where are the parents that have kids that aren't just grown kids? Because there's a lot of people out there that's like, my kids whenever they were younger. But where
you feel like it's a direct reflection on you. And I feel really, realistically, if anybody has been a exceptional parent, that has been you, from my perspective.
I mean, you've been great too. I mean,
realistically, if anybody has been an exceptional parent, it has been you. And just take it.
I was about to say the reason that I'm not going to say anything to combat that is because in the 5 love languages, one of the biggest struggles that I have is just taking a compliment. And I think we actually will talk about that at some point. So I
don't care about that. I'm telling you that you have been an exceptional parent. You, even though I have been resistant and I didn't want you to think less of the kids. And I already felt like blended family that you had some crappy perspective on the kids. And it was always a different, it's easier to deal with your own spawn's crap than somebody else's. Like you know either the way that they are, or you have been able to form who they are. So it has always been easier for me to just not try to fix the mess before I brought it to you, right? Because you were always so great. Like Juliet is a compliant kid, all things considered. Like she was, she'll come to work, she'll do what she has to do. She doesn't really complain. She spends all of her time with you. I wanted that, right? And pros, cons, whatever, but you have every step of the way been there.
Mm-hmm.
You have showed up when it's been hard. You have gotten down on her level. You have brought her up to your level. You've done all the things. So you have been an exceptional dad. And that's rare. That's hard to find.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And I really am. I feel like there are going to be people who watch this. And even if nobody watches it, really, I don't care. Like you have done something that I can't wrap my mind around anybody else doing. Like I don't know where to get this kind of wisdom. And it was so scary to bring things to you because I didn't want you to do what I thought you were going to do, which was to be like, Well, it's because you fucked up as a mom, right? You were not a good parent. You did not do what you needed to do. And here, I told you, I told you, I told you. But ultimately, once you realize, like, if you have somebody who really does get down on the level and try to be involved and try to listen, like, you just got to get through it together.
Yeah.
And I trusted you in that. And I'm glad I did, because you are a good parent.
Yep. I appreciate that. And that does bring me to another point, and I think this is a good thing to kind of wrap it up on. If you're if you guys out there are in a similar situation where what you were just talking about, where I would say something and later on I would be right about it, and there was times where I was guilty of saying I told you so. I did that a couple times, and I really have tried not to do that since. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but I've really, really tried not to say I told you so or to bring it up in that kind of way. There has been times where I say I feel like a prophet. I have tried to use that only whenever it's with things like I told you a long time ago, because you were like worried, oh, the kids are going to go and, go live in Jacksonville with the other parents. And I was like, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, because, they're going to school here. Eventually they're going to get a boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they're going to get a job. And now here it is this year. One of our kids has a partner, and then the other one has a job, and they're here with us. And literally, it's like after both those things happen, I was like, I genuinely do feel like a prophet, but that's because it's a good thing. I don't want to bring up, oh well, you know, she came to the realization that she shouldn't be wearing hoochie mama clothes. I told you so. Because what's the point in me saying that? It is interesting to see her come to that realization on her own and be like, wow, can we, you and I can't believe it either, coming to that realization together. But I just don't see the benefit at this point in our lives in these particular situations to say, I told you so. There are moments where we need to talk about it and say, this was a learning opportunity for both of us. And I'm glad things worked out the way they did in certain cases. But this is what we can do going forward to continue this growth. Today was a perfect example of all this. I said that I don't think that they needed to have social media whenever they did. I failed as a parent by allowing them to have smartphones and social media because I didn't stick to my guns, and I gave those to them. This is all my failure. It's their responsibility too on what has transpired today. And, it was everybody's responsibility. There was nobody not at fault today. But ultimately, and you said this earlier, I was really surprised that you came down from all of this today as quickly as you did. And that's because I looked at this whole entire thing. Nobody got seriously hurt. Nothing traumatic happened to anybody. This was a good learning opportunity for all of us. And to be able to set up some ground rules like, hey, this X time is exactly whenever you're getting off your phone. That way you have an hour to yourself to be able to figure out who you are. And then if you're going to be on FaceTime with somebody, the door's going to be open. Whatever rules we implemented today, all these are learning things that we learn together as a family. And, the main point of what I'm saying is don't tell your spouse, don't tell your kids, I told you so, unless it's something stupid. And then you can be like, shouldn't put the peanut butter in the refrigerator. I told you so, like that, whatever. But don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. It's just annoying, and it makes it where people are resentful towards you. If you just are constantly saying, I told you so about everything,
Right.
But Well, that was.
I don't even smoke a cigarette, and I want one right now.
I think that's like the second or third podcast that you've said that, where it's
Oh
just
my
like,
gosh,
it just felt like a therapy session. You know, that's what this feels like.
I can keep going.
And one thing that you said, which is, I don't care if anybody watches this. I just think this is an important message to have out there. I have said since the beginning of you and I dating and me doing YouTube, then I just want my grandchildren to be able to have an opportunity to come back.
Your parents are messed up. Kids are messed up. Your parents are messed up. So we're messed up.
So if you know our kids, whenever they're older and having kids, can go back and look at these things.
They block them and they do not give them social media, and they're never able to watch this.
So by then it's going to be a chip where it's just social media is going to be.
You're going to know. You're going to know.
Yep.
This is what it was.
But I hope that
we are like the VHS of our grandchildren.
Pretty much. But I really do hope that our children can look at our old podcast and be like, oh, look, they went over the 5 love languages. You know, what can we learn from that? Oh, look, in the 5 love languages series, there was this filler episode. Oh, shoot, they're talking about this.
Not a filler.
They're talking about this situation that happened in our life. You know, oh, shoot, this was good information. You know, I wish I would have listened to them before, but here's this information now. Or maybe we'll die and they'll be able to come back and look at this and say, wow, you know, I'm really glad they archived this information. You know, maybe I'm just a contentious butthole. I'm a little facetious.
I like that one.
But
anyway,
yeah, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys can take this information and go be the best parents that you can be. Nobody's perfect. If you got your kids and they're happy, healthy, fed, you're keeping track of them, making sure they're
doing the best you can do.
Yeah. And you know, at certain points, whenever they're at a certain age, the kids have to take responsibility for their actions. And all of our kids learned that today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed our therapy session. If you did enjoy this, like and subscribe. And come back at some point whenever we actually cover the 5 love languages.
I feel like we are just going to have to, what we can cut at this point, you in it, put in the exit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're just going to have to stick one, like the words of affirmation. I feel like it's almost like prophetic, right? Back to the being a prophet.
Yeah.
That was my hang up. And we have covered everything but that.
Literally.
It's like you're stalling, right? And I know that's not what you're doing, but it's almost funny at this point. Like, all right, I know that you want those, but we're going to talk about everything but those every time.
Literally today I said, all right, cover the 5 love languages. That's going to live there now. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I sure did. I needed to get all this off my chest and off my head so I can go to sleep tonight and not freaking stroke out or something. So we'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo. Love you guys.